Hello, everybody. Welcome to Targeting Winners. This is the ACC preview for 2026, where it just means more. I'm here, as always, with Darren and Peter. Darren, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Just been listening to us all cough before we started recording, so this should be.
Yeah, I think I gave you guys my sickness from all the way down in Florida. So
somehow you did it. Yeah, it's strange how that happens because I'm sick now, but it happens at work all the time, and I work remote. Like somebody will be sick, and like 2 weeks later, somebody else is sick somehow through the computer. I don't know, but anyway, thanks, Tim. Much appreciated.
Well, if you're sick, it's obviously Miranda's fault. So
I blame her for everything.
We'll blame her totally. Perfectly coiffed, Pete. Howard, new haircut, looking fresh, new cough, new background.
Absolute new computer, new everything.
Eddie, our resident interior decorator, will be happy now. You got something behind you. So I'm coming in from the bunker. We're talking about the ACC, but first, we had some breaking news over the last week or so. Darren, why don't you break us into it?
Brendan Sorsby. I don't know if you ever listened to the show. Probably not.
You think he was listening? He was probably listening to us.
Probably not. Yeah. So as luck and bad timing would have it, Pete and I just finished doing part 2 of the Big 12 preview, where Texas Tech was one of the teams we covered. And then a mere days later, all this comes out. Thousands and thousands of bets, potentially thousands and thousands of dollars. NCAA is investigating, so who knows when that'll end. But I mean, I'm just going to ask you guys for your opinion. Are you doing anything different with Texas Tech? I mean, I know, Tim, you fired on something a while back on the national championship show. And
yeah, I'm really happy about that.
Do you think he's playing again? I don't think he is, man. I think the NCAA's got to set an example here.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of this came out when I was, on heavy doses of NyQuil, but I remember someone talking about Sorsby being available for the supplemental draft, and I was like, wait, what? What's going on? And so it was one of those things, and yeah, well, it'd be nice if he did play, but I don't think he's going to.
He's going to play in the NFL maybe, and he's going to get what's coming to him because it looks like Cleveland might suck him up, so that's a great place for him to go and pay the price. Pay the ultimate price. Go to Cleveland, right?
But my rules go to Cleveland.
Exactly. My bigger concern is this: the tip of the iceberg, right? How much of a problem is this in college football? All right, this is one guy, but I doubt he's the only guy, right? So what is this going to turn into? What kind of investigation is going to happen? Who else is going to get kind of pulled out of this as well? I mean, were they all using the same? How was he betting? I mean, probably through an app. They're not using bookies anymore, but maybe, I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this.
Probably through a friend, I'd imagine, because a lot of I know in the NFL, like if you even bet on a team, like they can track your phone like inside the facility. So they probably go to a friend or something and say, "Okay, I'll give you this. You bet on this or whatever."
Yeah, it's concerning. It's concerning. It's what Vegas and others. Well, I mean, that's what the concern was all along, right? With sports and such, is if this infiltrates too deeply into these sports, what happens, right? And so it's concerning, right? They need to figure this out, and it needs to be rooted out, right? We can't have that type of thing happening in any of these sports, because that's an issue. So glad they found it. I'm glad they caught him. I don't think he should ever play again, and I think they should investigate further and find out if anybody else is doing this, because it just can't. It can't be. I don't even care if it's on my team. If you find guys in Michigan doing it, throw them out. I mean, we just can't. We can't have this.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes an integrity issue. And wasn't it 2022 or 2023? They got a bunch of players from Iowa State doing that. I think the quarterback, he had all his eligibility taken away from him. So I don't know if there's been changes in the rules since that came down. But if you believe college football's got integrity left, which is certainly debatable.
I don't think they ever had any.
Right,
well, good question. Which is why I phrased it like I did. But yeah, he cannot be allowed to take another snap.
Yeah, definitely not.
And somewhere you can hear Pete Rose spinning in his grave.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, he's lawyered up. So, I mean, you don't want to lose that $5 million. Now, apparently I had read somewhere that he had been getting I guess he signed for like $5 million, and he had been getting payments monthly since he showed up at Texas Tech. So I would say maybe from January through maybe April, he got paid. but now like Cincinnati's coming after him for $1 million. I mean, I understand him fighting it. I mean, he could lose $5 million. He's probably not getting his May payment from Texas Tech, I would imagine. But yeah, I just wonder if the NCAA draws this out. And I think the supplemental draft, Tim, I think like end of June, somewhere around there.
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe he just decides, you know what, it's not worth fighting it. If I stay past June 30th and then I lose, I'm screwed. So I don't know, but he really should not be allowed to play.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't think he'd get taken because don't you have to give up your first round pick or something if you take the guy?
Well,
I don't
it's the
know
fact
how
that he
that
obviously
works.
comes with baggage now. I don't know. I'm sure some quarterback desperate franchise would take him, but
Well, they've got like 30 quarterbacks. I mean, none of them are very good. Well,
No, not
as long as
good
he
ones,
doesn't
no.
go to the Las Vegas Raiders, at least we keep him out of the casino.
Yeah, they're not gonna take him. There's no way in
No.
hell.
wonder if that Kalshi site has any lines. We have to follow the Kalshi college football section if they have one. See what's
Well,
going on.
Second part of that section, and Tim, I know you already have a bet, so I guess this is more towards Pete. Are you looking to do anything with Tech now? Since this news came out, their odds to win the conference, you can get a little bit of plus money on them now. If you think at the very least they could make the game and give yourself a hedging opportunity. If I remember correctly, we were talking about being on the under, despite the heavy juice at 11.5. That's down to 10.5. Any of those numbers, conference or win total, interest you at this point?
That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't dug too deeply into it yet. I mean, I thought about it a little bit. I mean, maybe, but I'm not sure how to read it. I don't know. I mean, he's obviously not going to play. Yeah, I mean, maybe the under still interests me a little bit, so I might take another look at that, see what the number looks like later today. But I haven't done that yet.
And Tim, I know you got the national championship bet. You thinking of adding any Texas Tech goodies to your portfolio up to this point?
No. I just wonder if he does play, what would be like if the over under is like 52 and toward the end of the game they're sitting there at like 50 and you know there's a wide open receiver and somehow he overthrows him or something. It's like
That's another
that's just
reason why
everyone's gonna
right?
be like, he had the under. There we go.
It doesn't matter what he does going forward out there. There's going to be questions. Bad throw, doesn't matter what happens. It's going to be, oh, okay, what was the line? What was going on? What did he? I mean, it's just that's a problem. Period.
Well, let's get on off the depressing subject. Let's talk about something not as quite as depressing. Let's talk about the ACC.
We'll save that for FSU in a little bit.
Yeah.
Can I just say one thing I was thinking about this morning, how much we bash the Big 12 for being like a dumpster fire. But when you think about it, shouldn't we look at that as a betting show, as like prime betting opportunity? Because nobody really knows what's going on with the Big 12. While this conference last year had a team play in the national championship game that didn't even win their own conference.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I think we can. The ACC may have very well supplanted the Big 12 as the Power 4 dumpster fire, but that's just my thought. I mean, that was a 5-loss Duke team make the ACC conference title. Miami just works their way through the playoff.
Well, the Duke's the defending champion, aren't they? So there we go.
Yeah, we did. I mean, we did mention it a little bit during the Big 12 shows, though, where it is a dumpster fire, but it's an interesting one because there's a lot of angles you could play there. I don't think there's so many bets that could be good that it's just open game. There's a lot of fodder there. So here, I don't know. It's a little different.
Okay. Well, let's get going here. We got the first half. This is part one, obviously. So the first half of the conference we're doing, we're going to start off with Boston College. Plus 25,000 to win the conference, and the over/under is 3.5 wins. Darren, let's start with you. What do you got?
God, I hate this team so much. If you're a big believer, you can get plus 30,000 at FanDuel as of earlier today. This team cannot run the ball. The two transfer quarterbacks I've never even heard of. Some dude from Arkansas, Grayson Wilson, and a Saginaw Valley State transfer.
Ooh,
This is just terrible. I mean, they did get Evan Dickens, Liberty's leading rusher, so they're obviously making an effort to run the ball. They picked up 6 offensive line transfers, so pretty obvious what they're trying to do here. But again, the quarterback play is so questionable. Obviously, I don't think any of us are going to reasonably say they even have shot at winning the conference. But that win total is interesting. Initially, I went right to the under, just because you've got SMU, Notre Dame, and Miami on the schedule to start with. Even home games, you got Virginia Tech, you've got Pittsburgh. Who knows what Syracuse Tim, what FSU is going to look like this year, but I just don't see how this team is going to surpass this win total here. The under is pretty heavy juiced at FanDuel. I see minus 142. I would lean that way if I had to do anything, but anytime I can't tell, even with a reasonable assumption, who the quarterback is going to be, I'm just going to stay away from this team altogether.
Yeah, my turn. So, it's hard to say anything positive about this team. I think their job this year is to try to be respectable. They're certainly not going to be relevant. The under, if anything. Bill O'Brien was his third year, whatever there. I thought we'd get a little bit more out of this than he's getting out of this. I'm not sure why that is. This is a team that used to be able to draw some talent. Before the portal, but you think with, a decent coach and, BC still has a name that they could pull some decent talent through the portal, but clearly they can't, or they don't have the money, or I don't know what's going on there with that. But yeah, to your point, right? They're pulling people through the portal that are not exactly showstoppers. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. I don't see this thing going well. I probably more than likely there's probably some changes coming down the road here. We start talking about head coaching shows and all of that. Probably not immediately, but I don't know what the expectations there either are, though. So, at the end of the day, the expectations may be low for this program at the school. So who knows? But yeah, my expectations are very low. So if I would do anything, maybe it's the under, but I wouldn't touch this team with anything.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. I was heavily leaning the under, but I did not want to fire away on a bullet on that one. 3.5, still not for me. So let's move on to California. Plus 2,500 to win the conference. The over-under is 6.5 wins. We started with Darren last time. Peter, what are you talking about the Bears?
Yeah, I think they're fascinating to me. I think they're pretty interesting. I think the roster is definitely upgraded from what they had before. I think they're probably going to be somewhat volatile, so we'll see what happens there. But they've added something like 30 plus players to the roster, which is a big deal, right? This is a roster that needed to be upgraded. I think it's definitely been upgraded. It's like 32 transfers or something, which is a lot, right? It's a massive roster reset, which is good. So I think that could only be positive for this team, right? So win total is what, 6.5 with that schedule. Maybe I would consider going the over. I'm trying to do this on the fly because I wasn't going to do that. To me, it was a slight lean over on the 6.5. I do kind of like this roster build. We'll see if it holds up, but I think they're definitely moving in the right direction. For a team that has not been very good of late, I think that they've definitely taken a step in the right directions. Even if they don't go over that 6.5 this year, I think this team's moving in the right direction. So the future, I think, is somewhat positive here. So we'll see where it goes. So regardless of what actually happens this year in terms of wins, this is a big step in the right direction for this team. So I do like to see that because I do like to see Cal play well. So those are my thoughts.
All right, Darren.
Yeah, I partially agree. I do agree with what Pete said about this team heading in the right direction. I have a slight lean to the under here. I do like the head coaching hire. A good defensive guy. He did get the quarterback to stay. I'm going to try and pronounce the last name, guys. Here we go. Sagapulatele. I don't know if that's right, but that sounds good. So we're just going to go with JKS like everybody else does. So big win there. But again, we talked about how Boston College struggled running the ball. Well, nobody struggled more than Cal did last in the conference in rushing. A lot of those incoming transfers, defense, they lost a ton on defense. So a lot of those guys are coming out on that side of the ball. And the schedule. Yeah, we talk about travel, especially after this whole realignment thing. Cal's got 3 trips all the way out to the East Coast, and you can see him there. Syracuse, NC State, and Virginia. So you're already talking about a quarter of your games. You're flying all the way across the country. I don't like that at all. They also have trips to UNLV and SMU on there, two really good teams. And even the home games, you got Clemson, you got Pitt, you have an improving UCLA team. I think that game's going to be interesting, counting UCLA to start the season off. I would watch it if that's on TV. I do agree that they're heading in the right direction, though. I think this schedule and a whole new reset on defense makes it a little tough that this is going to be a 7-win team. So 6-6, I think, would be a success for this team. But I do agree they're headed in the right direction. I just don't think they're going to head in that direction too far this year. So I have slightly into the under.
That's fair.
Absolutely. All right. Clemson, last year, Pete, you had a nice bet with them. Hit pretty early in the season for the win total. They are plus 1,600 to win the conference. The win total over under is 7.5. Any thoughts this year on Clemson there, Pete?
I almost pulled the trigger again. I'm a heavy lean on that over, on that 7.5 again. I mean, yes, we're going through a major quarterback transition here. That's a big deal, of course. But Dabo's been there forever, right? And he seems to navigate those things pretty well. So I think that's good. I like the structure. It's a team that I love to hate in many respects, but they generally are pretty solid. That 7.5 just feels low for Clemson. I mean, to me, I don't, especially when that's plus 1,600 to win the conference. Those two numbers don't seem to be lined up with each other very well at all. There's a disconnect between those, right? You would think the win total should be higher if it's plus 1,600 to win the conference. So to me, that win total is low. It just doesn't match the other number. So to me, I think the 1,600 is probably correct. I think the 7.5 is low. So I almost pulled the trigger on it again because I think it is it's not that their schedule's soft. Their schedule's not soft, right? They have some challenging games in here. That first game is going to be really interesting with LSU. Very interesting game. But otherwise, there's plenty of wins in the schedule if you look across it. So, I think I would not blame anybody for taking the over here. They're not necessarily the old machine they've been, but that pricing at 7.5. I mean, that's that under 7.5 would suggest they're falling pretty heavily, and I just don't see that with this team. So, if I would do anything, I would definitely bet the over. I may do that at some point anyway, but I'm not doing it right now. So, heavy lean on the over. I'm just not playing it yet.
All right, Darren, over to you.
Yeah, I actually agree with all that. First of all, F you, Dabo. Stop worrying about what Notre Dame does, printing their own money. All right, if you could be independent, you do the same. So shut your portal avoiding ass up for a second. All right, I don't think the schedule is actually that tough. I think we look a lot of those logos there, and we think, oh, good team, good team, good team. But I mean, if you kind of look at it, we already talked about Cal. I think their two toughest games are right in the middle of there, Miami and Virginia Tech, and those are both in Death Valley. I mean, I'm down on Georgia Tech this year, down on Duke. I mean, they don't really have any tough conference road games. Yes, that LSU game is going to be tough. Probably start out 0-1, but there's nothing else on there that doesn't really strike me as unwinnable. I guess the 7.5 is there because, like Pete said, the quarterback situation. I don't know who this Christopher Vizinia, whatever the hell you pronounce his name is. But this is not a tough schedule. If they can get anything out of this guy, this should be a relatively easy over. And the juice, I see a fan was only minus 128. That seemed kind of low. Like Pete, I kind of almost fired on this. I didn't, but I may. Yeah, outside of that LSU game, there's nothing there that I look at and say, you know what, that's definitely a loss. And again, who knows how long LSU's offense is going to come together. They could be competitive and maybe pull that off as well. So huge quarterback question obviously is keeping me away from firing on anything here. But again, I agree with Pete. If I was going to do anything here, especially with that more than reasonable juice, I would bet the over here.
Yeah. Show me 4 losses in that schedule. Where are you going to find?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Well, there was one on Halloween as they go to top.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Jeez. That's a scary game.
If they don't show up.
But for the quarterback, I would go for the over as well for that one. But I've always been like, whoever the quarterback is, if Klubnik was back, well, that line would be higher, I think. It'd probably be up maybe 8, maybe even 9.5 if Klubnik was coming back. But yeah, new quarterback. I was going to lean over, but not here. But we will move on to the defending champion, Duke Blue Devils, plus 7,500 to win the conference, over under 5.5 wins. Darren said you were down on him. How down are you on him?
Down enough to where I heavily lean to the under here. They just lost so much. I mean, and you could just start with the offense. Darian Mensah and Cooper Barkate, their quarterback wide receiver combo, both heading to Miami. They did get Nate Shepard back in the backfield, which is great, but I got a feeling he's going to be a marked man because I don't know. I mean, do you trust Walker Eggett to do anything to lead this team to a bowl game? I bet on him enough with San Jose State last year, so I've learned my lesson, and the answer is no. He's not going to be able to lead this team to 6 wins. Their top sack guy on defense is gone, and perfect timing. Look at that schedule. I mean, you get Clemson at home, but I think Clemson's going to steamroll these guys anyway. And just look at the road schedule: Georgia Tech, Virginia, Miami, NC State. I don't see a bowl. I don't see this team going to a bowl game, honestly. And their defense is usually good. I don't know what the hell happened to him last year, but Manny Diaz, who was pretty impressive first few seasons here at Duke, that defense was just I mean, that bowl game, oh my God, that defense was awful. It was giving up yards constantly. So
brutal.
I want no part of this team. Strong lean to the under, but I did not fire.
Peter.
Yeah, I can't argue with any of that. I mean, this is last year's conference winner that, yeah, I mean, they could win 4 games this year, and I would not be surprised if they only won 4 games this year. I mean, this team got gutted from the personnel perspective, lost a lot of talent, and as Darren said, that defense in the bowl game was brutal. And I don't expect any magic happening here to resurrect that thing, over the offseason here. So I don't. If anything, the under on this thing, I don't even like that. I don't know what to do with this thing. I mean, there's probably going to be under, but this team it's gonna be a rough year for a team that won the conference last year. It's gonna be ugly, and that's about it. And that schedule is not helping. You just read off 5 of those games. They're gonna get trucked in most of those games. So I mean, their defense cannot stop most of the teams in that schedule. So, and they can't score them because they lost most of their offensive talent. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here other than losing a whole bunch of games this year. That's what I predict. So,
and wasn't that bowl game? That was Arizona State. Like Arizona State, they were playing like a bunch of second and third stringers, weren't they? And they were still marching up and down the field on Duke like they had no idea what they were doing. So
it's terrible. I mean, Jesus, like a D2 team or something. It's terrible.
I took into account a lot of those points you guys just made, and I did make a pick. I did go with the under here. Like we just said, a lot of turnover, a lot of new pieces to the puzzle, a lot less experience. Again, the schedule is not doing them any favors. A razor thin margin for error, so they need 6 wins. I looked at that schedule. I did not find 6 wins. I believe at this point, bowl eligibility is pretty much of a stretch. So I actually bet 2 units. I took Duke the under 5.5 wins. 2 units. I got minus 105. That was on Hard Rock Bets. So we'll go with that, and it's going to be pretty ugly. So any final thoughts?
Let's get to it.
Yeah, come on, let's go. Fire it up.
Speaking of ugly, we've got America's team here. Florida State Seminoles plus 3,000 to win the conference. Over under is 6.5 wins. Who wants to trounce them first? Pete, you want to go first with this one?
Hey, I'll go first. I'll keep it short so we can give you all the time in the world to fire away. So 6.5 wins. I think there's a better chance of me getting 6.5 wins than Florida State getting 6.5 wins. I don't like this team. I mean, they're better than Duke. I think you give them that. I mean, that's about it. I think they'll beat Duke. Outside of that, Norvell's in trouble. I mean, he was in serious trouble last year. He's in trouble. I don't know how he survives the season because I don't see what this team is going to do. I don't like their personnel, especially on the offensive side. I don't like anything about them. So I think that, I think this team's a fragile team, and I think that fans are going to have a really rough year, such as Tim, watching this wonderful team try to play against teams that they should be able to compete with and just not going to. So those are my 2 seconds of thoughts. Darren, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, anytime your quarterback is your leading rusher, you're probably in a lot of trouble. Statistically, this was not a bad team, which tells me the failure is all on Norvell. if you can find odds first coach to be fired, he may be worth a look because and again, Tim, I'm sorry, because I know this is your squad, but I think there's a long year ahead for the Seminoles, unfortunately. I mean, getting Trey Weiser from Texas is nice, but I mean, Ashton Daniels won your quarterback battle. Gosh, jeez, that's not good. I'm just taking a look at the schedule. SMU and Florida, probably your two toughest home games. But again, road game against Alabama. You know, they got a little payback after you guys smacked them around last year. Louisville, Miami, Pitt. I mean, that could be 6 losses right there. I don't know. I know this goes against what you bet, man, but I'll see it, man. I'm sorry. I want to win your bet, man. I just don't see it.
Well, hopefully he just gets fired and he doesn't get arrested too, like my coach did. Just fired, not arrested as well. Think positive.
Well, they only use plastic silverware in Florida, so you'll be fine.
It'll be fine. That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Metal gets too hot from all the humidity. They just go with plastic stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, and it's the sporks. It's not it's the fork, combo. So that's fine. All the administrative assistants are safe. But yeah, let's continue this. I know it hasn't been all sunny down there in Tallahassee or over there for me, down there for you guys. I'm going to bet the over here. You said our quarterback isn't that good. I don't think he was that good last year. For as many good passes Castellano would make, he'd make like 5 or 6 that are just, what the hell are you doing? I think he was more turnover prone. So I think they do have some depth. They got some of the kids to stay. Some of them that were out in the transfer portal, they ponied up, gave him some more money because that's what it's all about here. Ashton Daniels, whatever. I mean, he's at the very least, he's a small upgrade, I think, from Castellanos. I think Norvell's going to take more of a chance. I think they hit the over, and he may still get fired. I think 8-4, that record would still not be good enough to save his job. I think everyone's just got it in for him. So no matter what they do this year, I think he will be fired. I think the schedule is actually a little bit manageable. So this team, obviously, it's not a 10-win powerhouse team, but I think they can get up to the 6.5 wins. I think this will be a bounce back year. I'm rooting for it because I'd like to see everyone just, trounce on Norvell, and I'd like to see him bounce back and have a good year, and then have everyone start kissing his ass again. I hope he tells them all to go to hell. But that's my thing. I'm not going to rant too much because I'm still battling this sore throat. But yeah, I still like the over at 6.5, getting plus 115 on Hard Rock bets. Still going to be a long year, but I think they clear it, but barely. I think Norvell still gets fired. And that's all I got to say about that. Any thoughts?
Well, your blue title there is absolutely on point today, FSU Homer, because his thing is juiced heavily to the under. So you're like the one guy standing out there saying they're going over. So that's good. If you're a Homer, you should
Honestly,
be saying that.
Tim, I'm going to disagree. I think if they go 8-4, I think he keeps his job.
He might. Yeah.
I think he does.
They're not supposed to go 8-4.
This team and that schedule, I think he keeps his job.
I agray. If they win,
I hope
games,
he does. I mean,
if they win 7 games, he might keep his job. So
Well, everyone made a big stink. He fired Patrick Surtain as a defensive backs coach, and everyone that wants him gone are all kicking him around for that. He knows this is the year. It's put up or shut up. So if it's a mistake and he loses his job, I think he'll be able to live with that. But if he keeps him and it ends up being a mistake and he still loses his job, he won't be able to deal with that. Make your own mistakes. So if getting rid of Surtain and that makes the defensive backs even worse than they were last year, then fine, it's a mistake. But he's going to go out making his own mistakes. He kept some of the coaches there, and we'll see what happens. I think they can do it. I think they can get minimum 7. I'll be surprised if they get 8-4, but I think they get to a bowl game. I think they get 7 wins. Don't ask me to point them out which ones. I think they'll win a few games that a lot of people will have them underdogs in for sure, and no one thinks that they're going to win. So.
Be a positive year for them. That'd be a really good year for your team, honestly, and for him. He needs that. So
yeah, he needs it because by all accounts, everybody outside of the stadium, they all love the guy, say how much a great guy he is. So
yeah, he seems like a great dude. So
we'll
I'm rooting for the guy to do well. I don't want him to do poorly, but yeah, I don't know.
A lot of I listen to the Locked On and some of the other ones, and they're all just 3 years ago, they were all praising the guy. They were scared he was going to go, and they're all begging him to stay. And now, he's the worst coach ever and he should be coaching Pop Warner somewhere. So the weather vane, whichever way the wind blows, that's the way the media is going to go. So we'll see what happens.
It is always the way it is. Yep.
All right. Before I start ranting even more, let's go on. Georgia Tech plus 3,000 to win the conference. Also, 6.5 wins is the over/under. Darren, let's start with you with Georgia Tech.
Yeah, this is the one team I went back and forth on a couple of times. I really have no idea what to make of this team. I mean, initially you could say, well, both coordinators and Haynes King are gone. It's all gloom and doom. But I don't know offensively if it is. I mean, they still have an excellent running back tandem. Well, they got your Michigan guy there with Justice Haynes. Malachi Hosley helps him out. They got a Mendoza playing quarterback. I mean, how bad can this offense be? Fernando's little brother probably going to be the starting quarterback here. They do have to replace, I believe, 3 starters on the O-line. That could be an issue. But I think offensively, they're going to be okay. I mean, they're going to basically do what they did when they had Haynes King, which is try and run the ball, control the clock, keep their defense off the field. But I mean, this schedule's not terrible, though. So I saw the 6.5. I saw that it's a little bit of plus money on FanDuel, and I thought, I love me some plus money win totals when I think that number may be off. But looking at that schedule, it's not awful. I mean, you get Tennessee at home. I've heard differing opinions on Tennessee. We obviously haven't done the SEC yet. But, the road games, what do you got? Pitt, Clemson, and Georgia. Well, the Georgia's always the rivalry game at the end of the year. Who knows how that's going to go. But I didn't initially have a lean, but when I was looking over my notes last night, maybe a slight lean to the over if you could still get that plus 106 there. I don't hate this team, but I have questions with the defense, so I did not fire anything here.
Yeah, you basically reading off my script. I mean, I think you nailed it. This is a really interesting plus money situation with that over. And I've gone back and forth too. I'm looking at so they have 7 home games, right? Which certainly is going to help them out. I mean, yeah, there's a few that are pretty tough, but you go through this, can you find seven wins? I mean, I think so. I mean, that's why I go back and forth. I can see 6 for sure, 7. I don't know. It's close. So same, but I went back and forth on this, but I do think that the offense is going to be fine. I think they're going to play well. I don't think that's going to be an issue, other than the offensive line, as you mentioned, right? So we'll see how that goes, but I'm assuming it's going to go okay-ish. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, once again, this is another one where going with the over here would make sense. I mean, I would not blame anybody for doing that. I almost did myself, right? It's definitely a lean for me on the over, maybe not as strong of a lean as my other lean, but definitely a lean. It's something that I could still play as well, especially with that plus money. I mean, you don't get plus money like that very often in a situation like this, so it is very intriguing. And I think this team I think this team's still going to be good. They're not going to be as good as last year, probably not. Were they 9-4 last year or something? They're not going to be that, but I think they're still going to be a pretty good team. So we'll see how it plays out, but that over is quite intriguing.
One thing for sure, they will run the damn ball. According to the coach. That's what you got to do.
That's right.
And we're going to move on to Louisville or Louisville or wherever hell they say it. So they got plus 1,000 to win the conference. The over-under win total is 7.5. Peter, let's go with you because Darren's got to play. He's got the hat on. He's got the merch. Peter, any thoughts with Louisville?
Man, I'm going to save a lot of time for Darren. This is a team that baffles me a little bit. I mean, plus 850 was what I saw, plus 1,000 here. That's intriguing, I think, for sure. If I was going to, I mean, this over 7.5 is playable, but it's juice, right? So I probably wouldn't touch that because of the juice. But that 850 or that I pulled earlier, that 1,000 here is, especially at 1,000, that is quite interesting because they certainly have a chance. Now that said, well, Miami's still coming up here. I think Miami's going to win this conference hands down. But that said, if anybody else is going to win it, it could very well be Louisville. So I do like that bet because if Miami stumbles, and they very well could, then this is the team that's going to pick it up. So it's an interesting play. It makes sense at plus 1,000. So yeah, I would like that bet.
All right, Darren, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so like a couple, maybe like a month ago, we did the Big 12 Part 1. And, one of the things I do here for the show is I get all these guys' bets that they made like the Tuesday or Wednesday before, send it off to Tim so he can make the graphic. And when I got some of your stuff for your Tim's Arizona bet, Pete's Baylor bet, I was like, man, I'm interested to hear what these guys say because I was kind of on the other side of what you guys were thinking. And correct me if I'm wrong, you both basically said, you have faith in the quarterback.
Yep.
Tim was a fan of Fafita. Pete said he believes in Lagway to have a bounce back year. Well, I'm joining the believing in the QB train because I'm all in on Lincoln Keenholz. All right.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
First of all, defensively, this team was really good last year. I mean, they did roll into Miami, intercept Carson Beck 4 times, and come away with a win. Unfortunately, that did not lead to a conference championship appearance. But this defense should still be good. They are replacing a lot in the secondary, but they did hit the portal to fill in some of those holes. And the defensive line looks great. And any secondary is going to look better when you have a defensive line that can get to the quarterback, which I believe Louisville has. Now, offensively, while we've got nothing to go on from the quarterback, handful of things I like here. First, Isaac Brown entered the portal, came back out of the portal. So they have a stud in the backfield, which will be helpful. Lost a ton of receivers and tight ends, I guess, especially Lacey and Bell. They're top 2. But they hit the portal hard at both wide receiver and tight end. They got Vanderbilt's leading wide receiver, Trey Richardson. They got the Tulsa tight end, Brady Foley, who led Tulsa in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. So they have surrounded Keenholz with pretty good productive players at all the skill positions here. Offensive line, a little bit of question mark on the ends, but the middle part of that O-line looks really good. And Jeff Brom, this guy's going to make me go back into therapy like 2023 Oklahoma State. This dude always pulls off an upset. He's like the Georgia Tech head coach. Always beats somebody he's not supposed to beat, and then always lays a pile of shit against a team that he's supposed to steamroll. And last year, perfect example, rolling into Miami and beating the Hurricanes. And I'm thinking, wow, hey, that 8-1 that I got for them to win the conference is looking really good. And then they shit the bed at home against California. So I was like, all right, that's Jeff Brom doing Jeff Brom things. Did I learn my lesson? Hell no. I am back on them. Jeff Brom with quarterbacks, he's usually really, really good. Now, maybe that's on me. Miller Moss, obviously not that guy. He's not going to hit on every transfer portal QB he gets. But let's remember, he got great stats out of Tyler Shuck 2 years ago. He got great stats out of Jack Plummer 3 years ago. When he was a head coach at Purdue, he got multiple good years out of Aiden O'Connell. All right, those 3 guys couldn't run if you were chasing them with a flamethrower. At least Keenholz gives you some mobility here. So there's not going to be a lot asked of him to start with. That opening week against Ole Miss, man, that is on a Sunday night. And you know what sucks? Sunday night, Labor Day weekend, there's 2 games, Notre Dame and Wisconsin, and this Louisville Ole Miss, and they kick off at the same time. Who's the dumbass that scheduled it?
Why would you do that?
The dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But anyway.
Thank God for both of you.
I'm going to go with Jeff Brom getting back on the I can figure out my quarterback thing because, he doesn't have his own system. He takes his quarterback. He works his offensive system around whoever he has at quarterback. So shame on me for not realizing that Miller Moss was obviously not that guy. And I should have known. He didn't really light it up at USC. And if you can't light it up playing for Lincoln Riley, maybe you're the problem. So, and BetMGM had a nice 10-1. So
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw like plus 800. I think FanDuel had plus 850. I was going to leave it alone. But I was like, you know what? Let me just check BetMGM and see what they have. 10-1. I fired right away. So, yeah, perfect. I do have a half unit play here on Louisville to win the conference at 10-1. And if they screw me a second year in a row, we'll have a ceremonial burning of the Cardinal.
There we go.
Nah, it doesn't matter. Come on. There are 2 things. Number 1, we don't learn any lessons here, so you'll just go right back to the troll.
That's also true. I will probably
we're like dogs or fat people at a buffet. We just go right back up until they take the food away. The second thing, the Miami Louisville game that we went to was one of the most enjoyable. It was the most enjoyable game that we went to. That game was great. So anybody out there is looking for games to go to, going to watch those 2 teams play was awesome. You should definitely consider it, especially in Louisville. That atmosphere was awesome. It was a great game. Highly recommended.
Bet the over. Pound the over.
Bet the over because they couldn't stop each other at all. It was a scoring fest. It was great.
Cam Ward has the ability. Well, that was peak Miami. They had Cam Ward running the offense. Their defense couldn't stop anybody. I mean, that was beautiful.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Well, speaking of Miami,
Woo!
it's all about the U. That's what I say. So we got the Fighting Crystal Balls. They are at minus 135 to win the conference. The over-under is 10.5 wins. We think we do have a play on this one. We're going to start with Darren. Maybe Crystal Ball will do some crystal balling here. What do you think on the mighty Hurricanes?
I don't know, man. I want him to crystal ball, but I think we discussed this last year. He didn't crystal ball at all. I mean, he did not have a crystal ball moment. I was very disappointed. So shout out to him. Maybe after all that time, he has learned. The question first of all, I know Pete and I disagree on this a little bit. I do think Darian Mentz is a slight upgrade over Carson Beck. I think there's just more that he can do that Beck could not. And I'll let Pete discuss the Carson Beck side, but that's just my thoughts. Okay, so Malachi Toney, probably the best player on the field anytime Miami is involved in a college football game. But again, we talked about not only Mensa transferring, but his top wide receiver transferring also from Duke. So I think there's going to be some continuity on that offense right away. You've got Mark Fletcher returning in the backfield. So I don't see any issue with this offense other than the O-line. Cristobal, we joke about him all the time, but the dude can recruit talent. All right, that O-line and that D-line last year were both insane. I mean, that's the reason they got as far as they got. That being said, those are the two biggest question marks I have for this team because they lost so many of those players to the draft. I guess we'll find out how good a recruiter Cristobal is. So the depth on those two position groups is my only concern. This schedule's a joke. But yeah, if they can't get to the quarterback or if they can't stop anybody from getting to Mensa, they might not be in the ACC title game again. But yeah, I mean, Homer talk maybe, but I think Notre Dame's going to smack the shit out of these guys in November when they meet. And if I'm working that day, I'll be calling out ill. But yeah, I mean, the schedule's not anything that scares me. But again, you've got questions on the line, so we'll see. We'll see. I have no lean or bet on here. Selfishly, I'm kind of hoping that they only go like maybe 9-3 because I'm not a fan of Miami and because I have a bet on Louisville. But slightest of leans to the under just because questions on both sides of the line.
All right, Peter, over to you.
Yeah, I do have a bet here. I have a pretty heavy one, actually. So, I mean, to me, this is a really good team. That 10.5 is a bad number, right? I don't like that number at all, honestly. I think this team can be relatively elite and still go 10-2. That's my view here, and I agree with Darren 100%. When I look at the schedule, right, and when I went game by game through this thing, I am counting that Notre Dame as a loss because I think they're going to go up there and I think they're going to get beat, especially, November, later in the year? Yeah, they're going to get beat. And so I need one more loss somewhere in here, right? And I'm looking through. I'm like, well, I mean, Stanford, of course, I'm leaning Miami there, going down. So they're going to beat Central, probably going to beat Wake. Clemson, who knows, right? I mean, that's dangerous.
That could be it.
That could be the one right there, right? Certainly, Duke leaning Miami. And Boston College are going to beat. So, I mean, that's got to be the one to me. Maybe Tech. I don't know. I mean, so I just need one more loss. I need them. I need a crystal ball moment. That's what I need. In one of those other games, I need a crystal ball moment just to lose one more, and I got it, right? And that's what I think is going to happen. So I think they probably will lose 2 games, and that's all I need. And but still, I think they're going to win the conference. As I said earlier when we were talking about Louisville, I think they're going to win the conference. So that's why I'm going heavy on this. I'm going 3 units on the under just because I think the Notre Dame thing will happen. They will lose that game. And I think they're just going to stub their toe one more time someplace else. It won't hurt them longer term because they're going to win the conference, I think, and they'll move along from there. So I would not be surprised if they had an earlier in the season stumble somewhere along the way. Who knows? But Clemson's game 5, I think, on their schedule, so I could see that happening. I would not be surprised there. Hey, maybe if FSU is good as better, like Tim is saying, who knows? I mean, that's a rivalry game, so you never know in those games who's gonna do what. So that's a possibility there. So who knows, right? But I think Yeah, that under is really, really juicy here. So I am all over it with 3 units.
Maybe we can count on the 2 time zone thing. Week 1 at Stanford. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, the tree is going to take them down. I love it.
So, that would be nice. That would be great. Get that first one out of the way right there in the middle.
Pete does have a track record of hitting multi-unit win totals in September, so
It's true.
That is true. Proven track record. So, and we're going to wrap up today's with the North Carolina State Wolfpack. They are plus 2,500 to win the conference. Over under 4.5 wins. Darren, let's go to you to start this one. What do you think about the
I think
Wolfpack?
that over-under is off because I'm showing 7.5 here.
I'm seeing 7.5 too. It's like, ooh, that doesn't match up at all.
Yeah.
Let me
It was
double check.
6.5 when I initially started my notes, but it was so heavily juiced to the over that I saw FanDuel today moved it to 7.5 with
Yeah, I
minus
was going to
1.
say those 2 numbers don't line up at all. Then 2,500 and 4.5. No.
All right, no worries. Either way, this schedule's a joke. I didn't have a chance to look at the other 8 teams, which is why I didn't do any win total bets for this first part of this preview here. But I look at this team on paper, and outside of C.J. Bailey coming back to be the quarterback, what else does this team have other than a soft schedule that would lead me to believe that this is an ACC championship contender? I mean, maybe the schedule's enough to get it done. You lost Hollywood Smothers. You lost your top 2 wide receivers. Your defense was awful. You only got 20 sacks on the year in 12 games. And you're at the bottom of a lot of defensive categories in the conference. Someone tell me that, I don't know, when you just look this bad, I saw the 6.5 heavy juice, and I looked at the schedule. I'm like, oh, my God, this could be a 9-win team.
It's the schedule. It's all the schedule, right? I mean, this is not that
got to
good
be
of a
all
team.
the schedule. I mean, Virginia, they were in the ACC title game last year. You're going to an SEC school there early September in Vanderbilt. You got Louisville. I mean, we can scratch Wake because they got Gio Lopez. We know how terrible he is. But again, you got that cross-country trip to Stanford. If Florida State's playing like anything, that's going to be a tough place to play. But my God, how does this team not win 8 games?
Yeah.
I mean, where do you see 4 losses on there?
Yeah, it's hard to find 4 losses exactly. They could easily
unless you
win
get
8
them all
games.
early. I mean, unless Virginia, Vandy, and Louisville all end up being losses, you just have to hope for, But I mean, still, even if they lose that, you still got to hope for like 2 more screw ups to not hit the over. I mean,
they could.
Lame.
They could easily run the last 5, the last 6. They could easily run those last 6 games and win them all, right? I mean, they could. So I
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, I don't like anything on the about this team except for the quarterback. But they might not need much more than that to win 8 games here. So I mean, I guess quarterback play is key. They've got one. I guess I would lean over, but I don't dare fire it because I don't like anything else about this team.
Yeah, same.
Look ahead to part 2. The North Carolina Tar Heels over under is 4.5.
Yeah,
Put the wrong one on my phone. Didn't notice it. So I saw 4.5.
Yeah. No worries.
No,
So we
you know what's
we
weird?
expect
Because like North Carolina, you think would have come alphabetically before North Carolina State, but where I pulled it from, they put NC State, so NC came before NO. So that's how we got the Wolfpack instead of the Tar Heels for this show.
Right.
So
I put in the alphabet.
that makes perfect sense, I
Not
guess.
my poor eyesight or fever or whatever. So
but I don't know. I mean, Pete, Tim, am I wrong? I mean, the schedule's lame. Do you guys like anything besides the quarterback? Should I just fire? I mean, like 7.5
everything you
minus
said.
110 seems like almost a gimme at this point.
If I could get my hands on a 6.5, still somewhere, anywhere, I would be all over that over 6.5. 7.5 is I still think they're going to go over 7.5, but it's a little tighter, right? Definitely leaning on the 7.5. I would play the 6.5 if I could get it. All right, that's because I agree. I don't think this team's that great. The quarterback's fine, but the schedule, as you said, is a freaking cakewalk. So, other than a few games,
other
so
than
at the end of the day,
Louisville.
no. Well, they're going to lose. They're going to lose to Louisville. They're going to lose to Virginia.
A home game, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, Vanderbilt's down, but I still think going there and winning is going to be tough.
Yeah.
And I mean, those last 2 games are kind of interesting because, like you say, you don't know what Florida State's going to look like. Bobby Petrino is the offensive coordinator at North Carolina now, I believe. If there's anybody that can get North Carolina to put up some points,
Yeah,
And their
maybe.
defense was playing pretty legit at the end of last year. So I mean, maybe they lose one or both of those last two, but I mean, if CJ Bailey takes a step forward like all second-year quarterbacks we hope do, I don't see how this team's not a 9-win team.
Yeah, they should win at least 5 out of their last 6, I would think. All right, so you just need a couple more somewhere else, and I think they're there. So, yeah.
Who's the new OC over there at UNC?
Petrino.
He's on the same coaching staff with Bill Belichick.
He is, I believe.
Indeed.
That is correct.
Okay. That'll be interesting to watch.
For sure.
Just keep Bill Belichick's girlfriend off Bobby Petrino's motorcycle. It'll be a perfect year in Chapel Hill, baby.
That's going to
There
be
we
fantastic.
go.
It's going to be fantastic.
All right, well, let's wrap up this show of part 1 of the ACC preview. We'll start off with my picks. I got 2 units on Duke under 5.5 wins. I got that at -105. And also, I have Florida State 2 units over 6.5 wins, shocking the nation at +115. Pete, what you got?
I wouldn't be shocked, yes. So Miami 3 units under 10.5 wins, and a couple leans that I mentioned before. Also, Clemson over 7.5 is a lean, and potentially Georgia Tech over 6.5 as a lean.
And Darren?
Yeah, for me right now, and again, there may be some other win totals. I didn't get a chance to break down the other 8 teams. So I just have a conference championship player, half unit on Louisville to win the conference 10-1 over it.
All right, now do it for this week. Thank you all for listening. Please like and subscribe and share this with your friends. Leave us a review. Leave in the comments who you think is going to take down the ACC this year. Thank you for listening and watching on YouTube. We'll see you again next time.